Chapter 5, Mr. New Year. Alien Mind Breaker. Milo and Silo are scientists from the planet Jupiter. They routinely visit Earth to study our culture and gather precious materials to return to their planet. Although they seldom interact with humans, they receive a special request from a young Earth dweller, a boy named Tom, to meet them. Tom wants to meet aliens from another world and has been visualizing his dream for the last year. Milo and Silo tapped into his relatively strong desires and wanted to do something impressive for Tom before introducing themselves to him directly. Suppose you were Milo or Silo with advanced technology, over 1,000 years ahead of Earth. How would you communicate or impress young Tom without showing yourself? Choose one. Send a letter to Tom, telling him that other intelligent life forms exist in the solar system. Take a picture of your home on Jupiter and send it to Tom. Give Tom a best-selling mystery novel. Prepare a spectacular entry into Earth's atmosphere that Tom will never forget. My view of the world would change forever on New Year's Eve. The signature event sheds light on where our world is heading technologically and how far ahead other civilizations are from us. I did my best to explain the unfathomable details. Hopefully, my journal entries will improve your understanding of the alien presence on Earth and the Matronic Sphere, which you will learn about soon. Fifth Contact. Journal entry. January 1st, 1 a.m. The Hercules skies were empty from November until the end of December 2002. Every chance I got, I headed to Sharon's home or the Berkeley Hills and watched the sky for alien activity. I was addicted. I also battled whether to film the next time I saw ships in the sky. Choosing not to video record future displays of wonderment didn't come easy. When I attempted to record a few minor events, I felt I was no longer aligned to experience future, unique relationships with unknown societies. But as the world must know became my growing ideology, I felt deeply obligated to open up and share all I knew with the public. The night started with a bang when I left the Mike Epps New Year's Eve comedy show. As Sharon and I drove back to her house on Highway 4 through the winding roads of Martinez, California, a small group of stars started moving in circles. Immediately, the dancing lights radiating exceptionally bright pulled my and Sharon's interest into high gear. When we arrived at her house, we rushed into the backyard. The UFO gods again presented a metropolis of alien ships from their space cabinet to our grandest delight. Under the shiny metal disc, what was also present was the familiar glare of the giant star that I had witnessed earlier in the year. The star looked identical to the one that showed off its dazzling talents, alongside the purple UFO that appeared during my second contact. It was posted on the peak of the hill. As soon as it grabbed our attention, it lifted slowly above the terrain and shined with only a glimmer. The star's pulsations of light sent chills down my spine. It then decreased the liveliness of its flare for 2 minutes. It remained out of sight before lighting the darkness surrounding it like a torch. At least 6 times we watched the light produce similar actions as the ships hovered high above the ground. The lonesome star appeared to be establishing communication with us. 8 smaller stars then elevated quickly from behind the hills as the prominent star discontinued its actions. Effortlessly, they gathered around each other, forming a family of lights illuminating the hills. As they bounced slowly around the massive star, I looked higher into the sky and was caught off guard by the sudden departure of the disk ships. They had filled the night with their futuristic ambiance for only a few hours. By 5 a.m., a magnetic force pulled Sharon and me to stare at the stars, dancing more intensely across the crest of the hills. I noticed significant pressure evolving within the atmosphere. My pupils became constricted. Although I was not positive, the abnormal effect made it nearly impossible to take my eyes off the stars. While I tried to resist, I couldn't turn away. We were caught in a tractor beam of subtle anxiety. We could barely breathe as we stood close to each other's side. In time, the magnetic force that takes over me does not alarm me. Instead, it alerts me that something substantial is about to manifest. Those I later call the operators, extraterrestrials, or any beings I establish contact with, as there may be many different beings, have a way of ramping up good feelings and anticipation inside you. These feelings enable you to experience a more definite connection to the stars and Mother Earth. Along with this higher frequency of emotions, intertwined is the notion that something unimaginable is about to appear in the sky, like a fleet of spaceships or an alien visitation. The operators use telepathy or another form of their superb technology to communicate in many ways which exceed our technological abilities. Journal resumes around 5:30 a.m. After the vast number of disk ships visiting retreated into outer space, the wind initiated a gust like a hurricane. The sudden gust was causing the morning temperature to feel like a sharp 30 degrees. Although I dressed in warm winter clothing, I was freezing after a few hours of standing outside in the cold. It wasn't until unusual pink clouds floated swiftly over the hills and toward Sharon's house that our focus shifted dramatically. The godfather of all myths was on a severe mission led by an unknown force whose talents exceeded Mother Nature. Clouds that appeared more fitting in a horror movie quickly consumed the territory with artificial qualities in seconds. The colossal matter looked like plastic. It was hair-raising to see so many colorful clouds saturating the sky abruptly. 15 minutes later, the untamed winds ramped down to a subdued howl. Something spectacular was cooking in the kitchen of AIien manifestations. A UFO energy or demonstration was beginning to shape into form. I could feel it through my bones. The surrounding area dropped into a level of quiet that elevated my senses. I could hear my heartbeat as the blackbirds chirped beyond the morning haze. I did my best to control wild thoughts. Notes. When I became overwhelmed with anxiety and impatience, my new space friends, the operators, often ceased their demonstrations. Steady emotions allowed me to access the most significant power of all, the universe and my inner guidance system. Extraterrestrials are not interested in screaming fans or fearful humans communicating with or sharing their technological secrets. So, I always did my best in the early years to remind myself that I am equal to all races in the universe, no matter how evolved they may appear to be. My state of mind greatly impacts my physical response. Therefore, always think fearless. The pink clouds began to illuminate like the sun, until a beam of light cast down the face of its shadowy depths. It looked like lightning had struck the clouds and surged slowly toward the ground. Calm emotions decomposed into a pool of apprehension as two beams of light, identical in size, formed beside it. As they merged to become one massive surge of electricity, a giant flash of light exploded in the clouds. The burst flooded the area with a powerful, mysterious presence that shook every muscle inside me. Somehow, the face of the clouds then split off and formed a path directly to me. The misty creation rolled toward Sharon and me like a red carpet. Suddenly, it was alive. Future possibilities of meeting a foreign society were coursing through my mind. I fell into a robotic state of mind as we held each other tight. before Sharon and I struggled too long, gathering explanations over what we were watching. The second flash of light pierced our eyes, which came from the clouds. A massive green, fluorescent light rolled swiftly through the narrow stream of clouds like a submarine. When the light reached halfway across the grass field, 100 feet from Sharon and me, something unimaginable transformed into visual excellence. The green light increased in width, reshaping into the vivid image of a green ship. The startling new attraction was shaped like a giant bat that slumbers in caves, yet it was over 20 to 30 feet wide. As it traveled at an estimated 30 miles per hour toward us, my spirit imploded with disbelief, tremendous satisfaction, and shock. The spacecraft rolled through the path of pink clouds in complete silence, like a stemless flower gliding over waves in the sea. With each foot that the ship gained ground, my head bobbed slowly up and down along its path. I was caught in a trance. Soon, I began to make out the astounding architecture of the alien ship. The craft had a charcoal-colored undercarriage and triangular deck, where the navigator was more than likely flying the ship. I saw no windows. The top and the sides of the vessel were fluorescent green. It did not look like it was a part of this world as it traveled closer, nor did the spacecraft appear solid. It was as if the ship was traveling between two realities or dimensions. One world was possibly light years away, and the second was our planet Earth. At first entry in sight, the spacecraft appeared to fly through a wormhole as a non-physical structure. A wormhole is a theoretical passage through space and time across the universe, which makes traveling to a star system much faster. The theory of general relativity predicts wormholes may exist. The ship was somewhat blurry and concealed within the path of clouds as it traveled swiftly toward me. I also faintly observed a bustling city surrounding the ghost ship as it moved over the field, surrounding it with vivid images. Before the spacecraft began solidifying, it glided through what looked like a distorted reality, which I distinctly identified as a city. It became a challenge to simultaneously follow the ship and the less present foreign city with great clarity. My vision became distorted. When the spacecraft was approximately 50 feet away from us, it slowed down with the smoothest, incomprehensible braking system I have ever witnessed. At the same time, it transformed from an image of a green ship to a solid ship with a physical presence as it stopped rapidly above us. As the silent craft held a stable position, which now looked as solid as staring at a small plane 4 feet above Sharon's in my head, the ship defied scientific laws. My first thoughts were, the space beings who navigated the ship could be billions of years ahead of our society. The ship remained steady, with not a millimeter of movement that could be detected. It radiated with extreme electrical currents. A silent thunderstorm was occurring at the bottom of the ship, with electrical currents whipping aggressively underneath the craft's wings. The width of the vessel was approximately 20 to 25 feet. It was about 12 feet long from the front to the rear end, straight down to the middle of the hull. I saw no windows or openings at the bottom of the ship. Unlike our clunky airplanes, no distinct markings, separations, or bolts showed how the ship was assembled. There were no sounds from the vehicle or smoke pouring out of an exhaust system, and it remained floating above me for about 2 minutes before it began to elevate to the sky. I hoped desperately that a door would open from the bottom of the craft and that friendly aliens would invite Sharon and me up for the ride of our lives. I prayed silently for the opportunity to travel into space and be taken to unknown worlds. But it didn't happen. I even thought about jumping up to touch the craft, but my fear of being electrocuted or being classified by the visitors as too erratic or excited made me stay put. Nonetheless, I was grateful my space friends opened the corridors of space and time to deliver the gift of my life. My joyful emotions cooled significantly when the ship gradually elevated into the sky. As it traveled back into the land of an unknown destination, the green craft released irregular dark smoke that appeared to hold the mental capacity of intelligent life. The dark substance had a smooth or plastic consistency, unlike regular smoke. The smoke quickly moved away from the ship like seahorses, swimming in the ocean deliberately and erratically. While the ship arose, large sections of its concerning dark mist remained attached to the bottom of the craft, while other sections formed a dome of smoke around Sharon's house. When the ship vanished into the upper stratosphere, it suddenly detached from the gassy substance and the dome closed. Sizable electrical currents ignited a firestorm of unrest inside the dome when the ship disappeared. Large electrical currents swarmed in and flooded the area with a mix of smoky red, colorful accents, and powdery pink haze. Soon, king-sized winds consumed the area after the dome became electrified. Then, the electrically charged dome began to dissipate when the wind blew with such a dynamic punch that the palm trees in the neighbor's yard swayed and snapped. The neighbor's once firm, sturdy wooden gates began to pop and move from the unsolicited windstorm. The trees were under attack. The mighty gusts, which I could only estimate were more than 60 miles per hour, caused me to tear up as I watched the clouds spread into the nearby scenic views. White clouds restored the norm to the land, spoiling the perfect storm as the winds retracted into silence. As a wonderland of new mystery enclosed us, there appeared to be a purposeful changing of the guards, conducted by unseen wisdom. Journal entry ends. Alien Mind Breaker. What might the pilot look like if the pilot was flying the green spaceship? Why would an advanced society travel from the stars to produce such a grand entrance? How far away would you guess the spacecraft traveled to visit from their home planet or star system to Hercules, California?